Okay, so Be'ezras Hashem, we are continuing with our weekly series of Shirim on Dovid HaMelech, uncovering the space of David within each and every one of us. As the Zohar HaKadosh says, Nefesh da David, that the Nefesh itself, the lowest part of each and every one of our souls, the point in which we find contact with this world itself, where the rubber hits the road, that's referred to as David HaMelech. We all have David HaMelech within us, and we all experience the processes of David. We experience the ups and we experience the downs of David. And as we're going to see throughout these series of Shirim, when it comes to David HaMelech, it's always a mixed bag. There is no grabbing hold of the ups without the downs, and there is no experiencing the downs without the ups. David HaMelech was perpetually encountering reality by way of a split screen. On the one hand, he was experiencing it from a perspective of shiflus and anivus and impoverishment and destitution. Yet on the other hand, as a result of his deep awareness and willingness to be mitmoded and to face consciously with strength all of the struggles that he was going to, he also found an entry point out of it where he accessed the highest lights of consciousness. David HaMelech, like Malchus that he represents, is the singular entity that positions itself at the loftiest point on the scale and at the lowest point of the scale. On the one hand, David is perpetually chased, David is perpetually struggling, David is perpetually falling. And on the other hand, David is perpetually resting in the Malchus on the highest level, experiencing the highest level of Tainug. And the ultimate question that we have to ask ourselves is, how is it possible to be like David? How can we live with those two dalids in our lives? How do we bridge the gap between the upper dalid, which represents the greatness of experience, which represents the ability to find presence with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to say that I'm a chassid, to say that I have everything that I need? Yet on the other hand, at the same moment, to experience the lower dalit of our lives, which is the sense that our legs are dangling into death, and that we don't know anything, and that we have nothing, and that we're empty-handed. And so it's David HaMelech who draws down the secret unity between the upper dalit and the lower dalit, teaching us the secret of the unity between Keser and Malchus. But the secret of the unity of Malchus and Keser and Malchus is that if I'm holding at the tippy top level, I'm holding at the beginning. So then I have to realize that Tchilasam knows but sofam, that the beginning level has to remember the lowest level, which is Malchus, and that when I'm holding at the lowest level, which is Malchus, I have to remember that sofam knows but Tchilasam, that the end is embedded in the beginning, that there's no holding the low level of David without the high level of David, and there's no level of holding the high level of David without the low level of David. David is the secret of unifying the paradox of experience, those two dalids, and enabling ourselves to draw one level down to the next so that the lower level can elevate to the top and the top can descend down to the bottom, and that all of the separation in our lives is going to be seen through the singular flow of that pulsational distance between above and below, below and above. David HaMelech expresses himself in each and every aspect of our lives. Sometimes we're going to find it at the top, and sometimes we're going to find it at the bottom. David HaMelech gives us the insight as to how to tolerate both positions. As Rabbi Nachman teaches us in Torah Vav, the secret of tshuva, the secret of being about tshuva, and doing tshuva on our tshuva, which is being a student of David, because Chazal tell us that David was the one who taught the world how to do tshuva, is the secret of that when I am above, I am with you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and when I am below, I am with you. Bein ba'ayel ubein benafak. When I am above and running upwards, I'm with you. I find you in the palatial qualities of Keser Elyon, where David HaMelech is the Melech Yisrael, and he has everything that he possibly needs, and he's experiencing that secret of Va'ani Tefillah. And then when I go down as well, when I'm yored down this Tahomos, that's also where David HaMelech is going to find HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in the places of Shov. And that's the secret of what David HaMelech comes to teach us, how to be above and below at once, how to experience Ratzav Shov at the same time. Without this quality of David, without the quality of David, which is almost like the rug that holds an entire room together, it's what unifies all of the disparate qualities of our experience. Without the quality and the adhesion that David HaMelech brings into our consciousness, we would experience the ups as ups and the downs as downs, and we would assume that they are two fundamentally separate qualities of experience. And so if I'm identifying with my ups, I have to deny my downs, and if I'm identifying with my downs, I have to deny my ups. The secret of David Malka Mashiach, the secret of Tehillim, is that it teaches us that the human being is a torn thing. It's torn not because it's broken, but it's torn because it represents the unity of two polar opposites. The polar opposites of being above in the realm of Keser and being below in the realm of Malchus. It's only David HaMelech who gives us the ability to understand the secret of both being part of a singular image of what it means to be a nefesh in this world. And that's what David HaMelech gives us the ability to do. One of the qualities that marks the territory and the scape of David HaMelech's life is the fact that he was chaste. David HaMelech was perpetually chased by enemies, imagined or real. He was chased by external enemies. He was chased by inner enemies. He was chased by himself. He was chased by memories of who he thought he was. He was chased by all different sorts of concerns and difficulties and things that pushed him away from where he was at. The quality of being a nirdaf, what does it mean to be someone who's chased in this world? The quality of being a nirdaf is someone who feels that where I am, I cannot rest. I have not yet arrived at the place that I need to get to. Because a person feels that they have not yet arrived at the place that they need to get to, by definition, that means that the place that they are at feels like it's not enough. And when I'm not in a place that I feel is enough, I am perpetually going to be chased by a certain invisible call that says, go and do more, perhaps elsewhere, perhaps elsewhere, perhaps elsewhere. It's this wandering, it's this running that is rooted in a sense of deficiency, that what I have in this moment is not enough. There's something that's propelling me forward beyond where I'm at. I can't rest here. I can't find comfort here. I'm late for an important date, and I have to rage on. I have to race forwards, and there's not enough time to tarry. In that place, the nirdaf has no ability to find comfort, has no ability to rest their feet, has no ability to rest their head, because they're convinced that if I tarry too long for even a second in this territory, then I'm going to be caught. This fear of being caught by that thing which is chasing us. For David HaMelech, it was real enemies because he was a king. For most of us, when we try and find our place within the story of David HaMelech, as Rabbi Nachman told us we have to do, so it's more imagined enemies. It's more imagined things that are chasing us, or real things that we consider to be real. But nevertheless, we operate within a space that we feel where I am right now is not the place that I can remain, and I have to take leave from this place, and if I tarry or I'm too late or I'm too early, I'm going to miss out on something. That's the quality of being chaste, never being comfortable with where one is at, never feeling safe or assured in the standing that one finds themselves in, and operating under a certain threat of perpetual questioning that perpetually drives me away from this moment of comfort and forces me back into that mindset of being chaste. I have to run away because if I don't run away, the rodef is going to catch me. And this quality of David HaMelech, of being a nirdaf, of being chaste in this world, is a quality that HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves, as the pasuk in Kohelet says, "Ma shahaya kvar hu, va'asher lihios kvar haya, ve'elokim yevakesh es nirdaf." That HaKadosh Baruch Hu searches out the nirdaf. HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at the person in this world who feels that they're being chased, who feels that there's something chasing them away from the ability to remain calm. Some invisible threat, some demonic threat, some overwhelming sense of dread that seems to catch up with the person. Any moment they allow their mind to fall into some element of calmness, just to be awoken again by that concern of being chased, to run elsewhere and to try and protect myself for another second before I have to get up and run again, like a person who's being chased by a threat. In that place, a person doesn't have the ability to find comfort. And when HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees someone who doesn't find comfort within their own selves, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has Rahmanas on that person. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is machapes for that person. A person is then given help from above. HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves the person who feels that they're being chased. But this notion that HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves the person that's being chased is still rooted in a certain compassion, a certain pathos, that it's pathetic to feel chased. Rahman al-Islam, it's pathetic to feel that wherever I am, I have to run elsewhere. And whatever I'm doing, I have to do more. And whatever I've developed, I have to develop more. Something is perpetually chasing me out of my stability, perpetually chasing me out of my moment of deeply desired calmness. And so because a life like that is under such threat, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu has compassion on the nirdaf, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want a person to be a rodef. A person should not be the one chasing others, should not be the one chasing things in this world, but rather it's better to live with the quality of being chaste, a sense of not having enough and needing to search for more, rather than be the rodef, which is perpetually chasing after something. So this quality of being chaste is something that represents the life of Dovid. There were always enemies. There was always something that was threatening, which took away the ability of David HaMelech to find the stability and the menucha that he so desperately wanted. And in this place of being a nirdaf, Rabbi Nachman writes in Torah Reish Chaf Aleph, in the Likutei Moharan Chelek Aleph, that this quality of being chaste is of such value, it's of such lofty nature, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu appreciates it even if the person is the opposite of a tzaddik. It's one thing for a person to be a tzaddik like David HaMelech and to be chaste, and to find a joy within that sense of being chaste. It's another thing to be a Rasha themselves, and even a Rasha who feels chaste, even a person who has no good qualities to themselves. The fact that they feel chaste in this world, the fact that they don't feel that they can find that place to rest themselves securely, is what is going to create within them the connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As Rabbi Nachman says, that Ha'elokim Yevakesh HaNirdaf, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu seeks out the person who feels that they're being chaste. And even the Rasha who's being chased by the tzaddik. Even if a Rasha is being chased by a tzaddik, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to cover that Rasha over with the shade of his hand, so to speak, and provide some element of protection. Now, it's understandable if the person being chased is a tzaddik who feels that I'm perpetually being chased. That a tzaddik like that is close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And obviously, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to protect the person because they're close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But what Rabbi Nachman says here is as follows: Aval kishahanir rasha nimsa shu rachok me Hashem yisparach va'afal piken Hashem yisparach matzilo ke'elokim yivakesh v'chulei. That even if a person is wicked, even if a person has not yet identified the goodness of their lives, the goodness of the self, the true desire of what they want in this world, which is to find HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Even if a person has not yet received that in their lives, nevertheless, because the quality of being chaste, because of the humility that comes about with being chaste, and perpetually being chaste, what it does to a person in their life, it creates a place of vulnerability that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to love, even for someone who is wicked. So it's this quality of being chaste, of a sense of dread, a sense of something that is not giving me the ability to find the comfort that I want, something that is perpetually whispering within the depths of my mind, search out more, run further, run further, run further, don't find rest here, run further, something that is perpetually creating this mindset in a person's life that I have to run from here to there in order to find what I need, that I'm perpetually being chased, and if I wait even for a second, I'm going to be swallowed up and it's going to be the end, and if I don't move fast enough, then life is going to overtake me. This quality of being a nirdaf seems to be so potent that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to love that individual no matter where they find themselves. But at the same point, we have to ask ourselves, what is it that is chasing us? I understand if I have to be a nirdaf like David HaMelech, but I don't have the enemies like David HaMelech. David HaMelech was the Melech. David HaMelech had the enemies that were chasing him. But as Rabbi Nachman said, we have to be able to find it within our own lives. We have to find the story of David Malka Mashiach within our own lives. That doesn't mean that we're all being chased by enemies. That doesn't mean that we have people who want to take our kingship, even though sometimes that's true. But if we have to find David within ourselves and we have to find ourselves in the realm of David, how do we find ourselves in the quality of being a nirdaf, of being chased by something? What are we being chased by? So thankfully to us, we have part of Rabbi Nachman's story that is going to give us insight into this quality of being chaste. That yes, a person has to feel chaste. Yes, a person has to feel that where I am is not enough, and that I have to move forward from here, and that I have to go out and search more. But it's not that there's actual threats that are chasing me. It's not that I have to be perpetually looking over my shoulder, doubting the validity of where I find myself to be in this moment. The typical orientation towards being chaste is that there's an actual threat chasing after me, which means that the place that I am at right now is not safe enough. It's not protected enough, and something dangerous can take place. And that being chased creates the dynamic of fear and terror. And what a traumatized or a terrorized person does is that they perpetually run. They run incessantly. They run like an antelope out of control to continuously try and escape from the thing that's trying to catch them. But what that creates is a terror. It creates a fear. It creates a consciousness of a certain tepid weakness that feels terrified to place its head down, that feels terrified to value anything that it does, always in the search of that next accomplishment that is going to finally feel like the people chasing me have finally stopped chasing me. If a person feels that the reason they feel chased is because they haven't yet gotten to that place of excellency where they're no longer going to feel chased, then a person is misunderstanding the quality of being chased. Because then if my sense of being chased away from where I'm at is because I feel that I just have not yet gotten to the place that I need to get to, at which point I will be able to say, I have found where I need to be and nothing is chasing me anymore, then a person is going to be captured, because there is never going to be a place for the neshama in this world where it doesn't feel chased. But if being chaste is a quality that we have to cultivate, then we have to ensure that we cleanse it of any of the pathology and make sure that we're not convincing ourselves that we're being chased by any actual threats, and to learn how to understand and develop the quality of being chaste without any of the terror-inducing trauma of it all. So how does one uncover the secret of being chaste and feeling that I'm being chaste, which creates a perpetual urgency to run forward with alacrity and with strength without any of the pathological symptoms of anxiety or terror or meekness or weakness that leads to the opposite of self-confidence? And so Rabbi Nachman, in the 11th story, Mi ben Melech u ben Shifcha shenichlafu, he tells the story very much of David Melech's life, that there's a Ben Melech that's born. There's someone who's born with the neshama of David Malka Mashiach, somebody who knows rightfully that they're supposed to have their malchus. They're supposed to be operating in that place where they become the receptacle that reveals HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But instead, the circumstances of reality are such that because of the topsy-turvy nature of things, there was a switch. There's Heichale Hatamuros. This world operates in accordance with many, many changing colors and many, many circling circles where what is above remains below and what is below finds itself above. And that's just the nature of this worldly reality. And as a result of this worldly reality, of being in this world, the Ben Melech, instead of living a life of Malchus, finds himself living the life of a Ben Shifcha. He finds himself stuck in impoverishment. He was switched at birth. And so the Dovid mindset, the Melech mindset that enables me to be okay in the secret of tzadikim loichim bezroa, that the confidence of David Malka Mashiach, who says, Ani hagever, I am the man, I'm the person who HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants in this world. Instead of the Melech living with that consciousness, the Melech finds himself stuck in the Ben Shifcha's territory of feeling impoverished and feeling low and feeling that he doesn't have what it takes. But then through the story where Rabbi Nachman basically is describing that the Ben Melech remembers no matter how stuck the Ben Melech gets forced into in this world, no matter what the circumstances are, the neshama is going to remember, and it's going to be mavakesh what it knows is its own, and it's going to search out for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the Ben Melech awakens to his birthright, and the Ben Melech awakens to that secret that you're right, I do have the ability to find Malchus. I do have the ability to find Malchus, even though I feel like I'm a Ben Shifcha, even though I feel like I'm impoverished and I'm being chased all the time. Nevertheless, perhaps there's a way of coming about this quality by way of richness, by way of actually being the Ben Melech. And so Rabbi Nachman, in a story within a story within a story, he brings us to the culmination of the story where this Ben Melech, the son of the king, the true secret of David HaMelech, Mashiach ben David, who having been switched around has found himself caught up within the circuitous and struggling circles of this worldly experience, the Ben Melech, who is now acting like a Ben Shifcha, is finally ready to uncover his Malchus again. And so he comes to a place, he comes to a beautiful city that has lost its king. And the reason the beautiful city has lost its king is because there's been nobody who has been capable of being wise enough to be the king of this nation. And there was a test that this nation, who has lost their wise king, that was going to be put through. Each and every person who wanted to be king was going to be put through a test. And the test was going to be as follows. Zak the Heilige Rebbe. They said to him, the people of this town, said to him, meaning the son of the king who had spent his entire life living as the son of a pauper and is now coming to a place of trying to uncover his latent kingship, his latent malchus, the quality of David Malka Mashiach. And they said to him, we're going to give you a nisayon. And if you can pass this nisayon, then it's going to be true that you can be the new king. Imata chacham kazeh. Let's see if you're wise. Heyos sheyesh kan gan shenishar min hamelech shahaya shu haya chacham gadol v'hagan hu nifla ma'oid ma'oid shegedelim bo klei matachos klei kasef v'klei zav hu nifla v'nayra ma'od. Ach efshar lichane sham ki keshenichnas bo adam as a tekef matchilim sham leradfo v'rodfenoso v'hut soek v'hu eno yodea klal v'eno roa mirodefoto v'kachim rodfenoto ad shemavrichanoto min hagan al kem nirem matachacham im tucha lichanes elagan hazeh. So the test is as follows. They said, you want to show that you're really righteous of being a king? You're really worthy of being our king? So we have a garden. We have a beautiful garden. The garden is this world. We have a beautiful garden, and it's a garden that is very, very wondrous. Nifla ma'oid ma'oid. It's a gesher tzar ma'oid ma'oid. Have a ma'oid ma'oid. Have a shafar ruach. Toiv haaretz ma'oid ma'oid. Shegedelim boy klei matachos, klei kesef, klei zahav. Right, this garden is so remarkable because it gives birth to all of the kesef and the zahav, and it gives birth to all of the metals, right? Because Malchus itself is the gan, and from within Malchus sprouts all of the qualities of kesef, which is kisufin of chesed, and the zahav of gevura, and the matachos of teferes. Everything comes from this gan of Malchus. But because this gan is so wondrous, nobody's able to stay in there. Why? Because the moment you enter into this garden, immediately that you enter in, they're going to begin to chase you. And they begin to chase you, and you begin to scream, and you're not aware of who's chasing you. You don't see who's chasing you, but they chase you until they chase you out of the garden. And in order to determine whether you're worthy enough and wise enough to be our king, let's see if you're able to enter into this garden. So we see that the quality is that you're going to be chased. There's a sense of being chased. Malchus is always going to feel like it's being chased, but that being chased is still caught up within the pathology of being chased, because I'm being chased because I'm not good enough. I'm being chased that something's going to catch me. I'm being chased that I haven't accomplished enough. And that's what pushes me out of my present moment. And that's what it means that the chasing is going to push you out of the gan. The chasing is something that takes away the Yishuv Hadas. And if the chasing is still something that takes away the Yishuv Hadas, then the person is not yet roy to be Melech. So we see from here that the quality of Melech, to be the Melech of the wise ones, is to be able to be chased without actually being chased, to feel that I'm being chased, but nevertheless not to allow that being chased to create pathological symptoms that take me out of myself. Meaning to say, how do I cultivate this mindset that, yes, I'm being chased further and further, but it's not out of threat of being caught by something that's going to destroy me, but rather it's going to be a healthy perspective of odio tertov, of wanting to grow out of a perspective of enoughness rather than a perspective of deficiency. The kilkul of the notion of being a nirdaf is that I don't have enough, and therefore something is going to catch me until I have enough, when something is not going to be able to catch me. That's the wrong perspective, because there's never enough. There's never enough for a person to make them feel that they're not being chased. To be in this world is to be chased. Memela, the secret of David Malka Mashiach, the secret of Malchus and its Shairesh, is the ability to be aware that Taka, yeah, I'm being chased, but there's going to be a different angle in which I look at this nature of being chased. So after the Chevra tell this Ben Melech, who has been living his life as a Ben Shifcha, and now it's time for him to take his Malchus back, instead of being afraid of what they said, instead of saying, oh no, they're going to chase me, there's no way that I can handle this, he says as follows, V'sha'al im makim es ha'adam hanichnas. The Melech, the Ben Melech says, okay, what happens when they chase me? What happens when they catch me? Are they going to hit me? Are they going to hurt me? Is something going to break me? Amrulo, the Chaver answered him, Shaha'ikr sharod fenoso. The main thing is that you're being chased. Meaning to say, and here's where the real pivot is. If I feel that I'm being chased, then I'm never in the right place, and it's never enough because I think that something is going to catch me and destroy all of my accomplishments, and therefore I have to perpetually run to that place that I feel is perfect without any deficiency, and only there will they stop chasing me. So then I'm never going to be okay. And then I'm always going to be chased out of the garden. But if I realize that really the only threat is the threat of being chased, but in truth, when they catch me, there's nothing that's going to happen, because in truth, there's nothing chasing me other than the sense of being chased. We live like Dovid because Dovid was actually chased, and we live like Dovid because we have the nefesh of Dovid, which means that we're perpetually going to feel like we're being chased. And the first thing that we have to do is pause and say, okay, I feel chased, but what is it that's chasing me? Is the thing chasing me dangerous? Or is it just the sense of being chased that is causing me to feel not okay within myself? And once he asks this question, the Chaver are forced to answer him, and they say, you know what? The main thing is that you're being chased. And when a person realizes that, okay, the main thing is that I'm being chased, so then I have to stop worrying so much about what it is that's chasing me and what's going to happen when that thing that's chasing me is going to catch me. And instead, I have to learn how to understand the quality of being a human being who lives with an inner sense of just a perpetual sense of being chased. That's what it means to be Nishmas Yisrael. והוא אינו יודע כלל מי ומי רודף אותו, וברך בבהלה גדולה מאוד, כי כן סיפרו להם בני אדם שנכנסו שם. And in truth, you're not going to know. The people don't know who's chasing them or what is chasing them. Because what happens immediately upon sensing that a person is being chased is that the person who feels that they're being chased by something begins to run without their mind, with bahala sadas, with a sense of bilbul hamoichim, and they just run out of the garden and they don't know what happens. And so this Melech begins to understand. This Melech begins to understand. And he begins to understand that there's a secret here. And the secret is that inside of the center of the Gan, inside of the center of Malchus, there's a tree, there's an Adam. There's the secret of being okay. There's the secret of connecting to the Shorish of Malchus. There's the secret of connecting to Shalom. There's the secret of being mevatel all of the wars. There's the secret to getting rid of all of the concern. Even in the Gan, when I enter into the Gan and I sense that I'm being chased, there is a way, there is a secret, there is a center to the garden that enables a person to grab hold of in their mind and enables them to say that even though I'm being chased, I don't have to run. I can live with a sense of being chased. And when I live with a sense of being chased, that's where I cultivate the spiritual power and potency inherent within the quality of being chased towards something beyond me, not being chased by a threat behind me, but being chased because I know that there's something bigger that rests at store and rests at the ready to be revealed. And so this Melech, this Ben Melech, who's ready to uncover his kingship, he contemplates the matter for a little bit, and he understands what's what, and he realizes that kishenechnasim lagan v'roidfenoso ein tzrichem livroich klal. When I enter into the garden and they're going to start chasing me, I don't have to run because there's no real threat. The threat is an imagined threat. And an imagined threat feels very real on the level of imagination. But in truth, all I have to be able to do is rak la'amod et atzmo etzel ha'adam v'al yedei zeh yinatzel. That if I enter into the garden and I hold closely to the innermost point of the garden, I hold closely to that light of the tzaddik, I hold closely to the light of Shabbos, I hold closely to the light of Bittul, I hold closely to the deep awareness that there's nothing other than HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that everything that feels that it's chasing me is in truth just HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that everything that's pushing me out of my comfort is just the Ratzon of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that's making me feel like I have to move forward. So in that place, there's nothing to be afraid of, and that's how I'm going to be saved. And he goes in, and they start screaming, and he doesn't run whatsoever. Everybody else, ki acherim, when they enter in, kishenichnasu lagan, v'hitchilu l'radfam, when they entered into the garden, they began to be chased. They began to run with bahalas hadas and bilbul hadas, and they thought that they were being hit, and they thought that they were being caught, but that's only because they ran out of the garden. But this person enters in, and he says to himself that I know I can connect to the innermost point of something, the innermost point of the garden, and he goes in, and he's not chased, and he hears the chasing, but he doesn't run. And it's in that place that he discovers the ability to become king again. So we see from Rabbi Nachman that the nature of being chased is not the problem. It's not the problem that I feel chased. It's not the problem that I feel that something behind me is perpetually pushing me to the next level. The problem is when I assume that it's a threat. When I assume that it's a threat, what it does is it gives me the implication that there is a point that I can reach where I'm not going to feel chased. And then it leads a person to try and cultivate this desire for perfection or perfectibility, where if only I can get to that point, I'm not going to be chased. And then a person just becomes the thing that's chasing themselves. But the true secret of being chased, Rabbi Nachman is teaching us, is that to be aware that I'm being chased, but it's not a threat. And then I can cultivate that awareness of being chased, but I could also laugh at the notion that there's something threatening, and I can cultivate that urgency that comes about by being someone who is chased, by perpetually moving away from where I'm at. But it's no longer an attempt to secure some safety, but it's just an undying desire to grow more and more and more. That's what's chasing a person. What's chasing a person in this world is the secret that I want to draw more and more knowledge of HaKadosh Baruch Hu down. In this world, a person emerges as they are. And a person can function as they are. But it's only as a result of the sense of being chased. It's only as the result of that lingering, unsilenced voice that says, there's more, there's more, there's more. There's more to be revealed. There's more to be uncovered. In that sense, a person is also going to feel chased, but it's not a chased as a result of my deficiency. It's a sense of being chased that in accordance with where I'm at right now, I'm not lacking anything, but in accordance with who I can be, I understand that I have not yet even begun. It's the secret of aliyos ein kates. It's the secret that avada, I'm chased. I'm chased because the infinite is where I want to get to, and I'm never going to get to the infinite. And therefore, I have to spend my entire life chasing after the infinite. I have to chase after the infinite. In that sense, if a person is chasing after the infinite, a person is chasing after more and more goodness, they're never going to be satisfied with the goodness that they have, but they're never going to be afraid that they don't have enough goodness. I have enough goodness. I want more goodness. There's infinite goodness to be revealed, and therefore any level of goodness that I have is retroactively going to be revealed to be paled in comparison to the goodness that stands at the ready to be revealed. And that's going to be a redifu, the machshava lemirdaf abasre, as the Zohar Kadosh says, that there's the light of the Ein Sof Kavyachol. There's the infinite light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that I can't grasp. The individual knows that they can't grasp it, but nevertheless, Tchunas hamachshava lemirdaf abasre, the machshava chases after it. It chases after it. When I come to a place of knowing that I'm a nirdaf, but I'm being chased not by anything other than the undying sense that there's more and more and more to grasp of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then I'm mahapich into the rodef themselves. The sense of being a nirdaf creates within me the desire to be the rodef. But what am I chasing after? I'm chasing after you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As Rabbi Nachman quotes from the Zohar Kadosh in Torah Chaf Daled, when it comes to the ability to grasp the loftiest levels of grasp imaginable, even though the mind knows that it can't grasp the absolute nature of those grasps. So this is the language of what Rabbi Nachman uses. That we should know, there's a light above what I know already. There's a light above where I am at, which makes me feel that I'm being chased away from where I am at because I need to reach more. And what is that light? V'hu or ein sof. It's the infinite light which is perpetually beyond me. And even though the mind can't grasp it, even though the mind can't grasp what it's chasing after, the nature of the mind is to chase after it. And by way of chasing after it, the mind grasps what it's chasing after, but it only grasps it by way of mati v'loy mati. I can't ever grasp that which I'm chasing after because what I'm chasing after is the infinite. And any moment that I feel that I've grasped, something new is revealed to have not been grasped yet. And that's what it means that a person lives their life in a perpetual state of a sense of being chased, but not because there's a threat, but because in relationship to the next level of his galus, which is above me, the or ein sof, I have to perpetually be running further and further. This is the fact that Dovid HaMelech transforms that sense of being a rodef, and he begins to chase after HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Pasuk in Tehillim says as follows, in Kuf Lamed Beis, Shir HaMalos Zachar Hashem LeDavid as Kol Unosav. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu will remember all of the suffering that Dovid HaMelech went through in this world. Asher nishba Hashem, Dovid HaMelech took a swore to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Nader la'abir Yaakov, he swore in the name of his father Yaakov. Im avo ba'ohel beisi, im a'ale al eresh yitzuai. I will not enter into the tent of my home, nor will I enter in to the bed that is spread out for me. Im itein shena la'enai la'afapai tunuma. I will not allow my eyes to rest, and I will not allow my eyelids to find slumber. Ad until I find the place for Hashem to be revealed. Dovid HaMelech was perpetually searching out the Even HaShasiyah, perpetually searching out Beis HaMikdash, perpetually searching out more and more Das, perpetually searching out Shavisi Hashem Lenegdi Tamid, more and more Hashem, Od Yoter Tov, Ashrei Yoshvei Secha, Od Yahalu Chasela, Ashrei Tmimei Darach, HaHolchim B'Toras Hashem, perpetual movement, never resting, but not because of deficiency, Adrabah Ibcha Mastabra, as a result of the greatness, of the wealth, of the strength, of that which is perpetually at the horizon of the Jewish mind, perpetually chasing after Or Ein Sof. In the eyes of Dovid HaMelech, nothing was ever enough because the mind can never grasp the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Every sense of grasp is going to pale in comparison to that which is revealed in front of him in the next moment. And in this place, Dovid HaMelech becomes the chaser. Dovid HaMelech is not allowing himself to rest. He's not allowing himself to sleep until he finds that place for the Or Ein Sof to be Shora. That's the Redifu, the Machshava, the Mirdaf HaBasrei, that the mind becomes the chaser. The mind chases because it realizes that why do I always feel so chased? The mind feels chased because the mind knows its own limitations. If the mind knows its own limitations, then the only thing of the mind to do is to yearn more and more and more and more. And this is the secret of Kol Rodfeha Hisiguha Bein HaMitzarim. When we find ourselves in the dire straits and straits of constriction, so we see generally our enemies are going to catch us there. But that's only seen through the lens of that there's actual enemies chasing me. But the Heilige Magid of Mezrich and the Tzadikim, the Talmidim of the Magid, changed that. Kol Rodfeha Hisiguha Bein HaMitzarim. Anybody who chases after Yud K, anybody who chases after the loftiest levels of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that awareness that it's never enough because there's infinite levels of gradational growth that are available to me at every moment in the secret of Aliyos Ein Kates, and that I can perpetually reveal more and more, and I can build a new Beis HaMikdash of Das in each and every moment. In that place, Kol Rodfeha Hisiguha, the person being chased is transformed transformed into someone who is chasing after Hashem, and in that awareness of Bein HaMetzarim, that I'm being chased, not because something is threatening, but because I'm fundamentally aware of Kedushasi L'Ma'ala Mikdushaseichem, that there's so much more to grasp. In that place, the sense of being chased is transformed into Kol Rodfeh Hisiguha. The person being chased is transformed into the chaser, and that chaser is the one who now has the ability of drawing the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu down into existence. This is the beautiful and miraculous words of the Heilige Koshnitzer Magid. The Koshnitzer Magid describes in Parshas Ve'eschanan the fact that without us trying to bring HaKadosh Baruch Hu down into limitation, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is unlimited. And that in truth, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not something that is susceptible to revelation. The only thing that is susceptible to revelation is something that is drawn into Kalim. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is fundamentally beyond Kalim. The infinite denies the possibility of the finite. But as we've seen from the Kamarna Rebbe, in the secret of Dovid Malka Mashiach, the neshama of Bnei Yisrael, Dovid Melech Yisrael, we are the secret of the Tzimtzum that draws HaKadosh Baruch Hu down into reality, and all of the words and all of the desires and all of the mitzvos and the maisim tovim and the Torah and the chesed and the av and the yira and the dvekos and the bitachon and the emuna and the goodness and the ratzon and the tainug and all of the good thoughts and the nekudos tovas that we find are different simsumim that draw the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu from its absolute infinitude into vessels that can be named and grasped. That was the life of Dovid HaMelech. That's the life of each and every Yid. The Zohar Kadosh in numerous places compares Nishmas Yisrael to that of a Yonah, to the dove. The dove is perpetually being chased. It's not chasing ever, and it's for that reason that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to be identified as the Yonah. It's the same as Yonah ben Amittai, who was trying to run away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu until he came to the awareness that it's been HaKadosh Baruch Hu chasing me all along. It's not any other threat other than the fact that I want more and more Hasag of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And in that place, we learn the secret of being a Nirdaf. And it's through our sense of being a nirdaf that we have the ability of drawing down HaKadosh Baruch Hu into this world. And these are the words of the Avodas Yisrael. Ulazeh Amru, and this is what it means when Chazal tell us that the Kisei de Dovid Malka Reish Chaf Aleph Lugin, that the coast, the cup of Dovid HaMelech is 221 measures. Again, it's the same number of the teaching that we just saw in Likutei Moharan, 221. That what does it mean that the measure, the coast of Dovid HaMelech is 221 lugin? Now, 221 is the gematria of Arech, which means Arech Anpin. It means the loftiest levels of Keser. It means that perpetual desire to chase after the highest revelation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which will reveal to me that what I thought I grasped is nothing in comparison to what I'm about to grasp, and then I suddenly become aware that there's more to chase after. So what was it that made Dovid HaMelech's coast so big? What was it that enabled Dovid HaMelech to have a coast, which is Malchus, that could hold the vessel of Keser within it, to reveal that secret of above and below at once? The secret is, Ki Dovid HaMelech alav hashalom haya tamid nirdaf mibnei adam u'mesukan mamish lamaves b'yadehem. That Dovid HaMelech lived with a perpetual sense of being in a state of danger, and that if he were going to be caught, he would be destroyed in the hands of those who were chasing him. V'al yedei zeh sham nafsho b'kapo v'holech u'mitchazek tamid ba'avodas Hashem. And as a result of this perpetual sense of being chased, Dovid HaMelech decided that at each and every moment of his life, he was just going to perpetually be strengthening himself perpetually in his service of God, to come to be aware that I haven't even started yet. B'machshavto hazaka ba'ahavarabba b'simchas levav b'shiros v'tishpachos in mesiras nefesh mamish. That he walked all of his days with strengthening himself with the purity of thought, with a deep and undying love and desire to connect to more and more goodness, a joy in his heart, and love songs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with the absolute expiration of his soul. Because he thought to himself, B'chashvo ma im yahaguni, so what if they catch me? Gam ken ani tzarech la'achzor la'avi shebashamayim. I need to chase after HaKadosh Baruch Hu anyway. So I'm going to transform this sense of being chased into chasing after HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's through this that he drew down the 221, that light of Keser, of Arach Anpin and patience, into his kos, into his malchus, meaning to say, into his bechina. So what Dovid HaMelech teaches us in the name of the Maggid of Kozhnitz is that I'm being chased anyway. I sense that I'm being chased. So what if I'm being chased? I always have to chase after HaKadosh Baruch Hu anyway. So I should utilize every ounce of the sense of being chased, and I should learn how to chase after HaKadosh Baruch Hu with it. This is the secret of Ki Ani Adati, Ani Daika, Rabbi Nachman says in the first teaching of Sichos Haran, that Dovid HaMelech says, I know how great God is, and only I know, meaning to say, nobody else can know how great God is in my eyes, because I can't even know it in relationship to what I know now. I don't know how big God was yesterday, and in relationship to how big God is going to reveal himself to be tomorrow, what I grasp now is absolute nothingness. This perpetual sense of the machshava lemir daf habasre, to chase after it. This is what is going to uncover the secret of Malchus rising, 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 always, always going upwards to reveal more and more of a capacity to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, more of a capacity to reveal more and more good. To take that natural condition of that existential sense of being pushed out of where we find ourselves, but not to allow it to be rooted in a sense of deficiency or a lack of enoughness, but rather to be situated from a place of satisfaction, of enoughness, of I'm okay, but I want more. And in that place, the sense of being chased is going to give us the ability to be mahapich ourselves into kol rodfeh hisiguha bina mitzarim, to be like David HaMelech, who knew how to chase after HaKadosh Baruch Hu and draw more and more down, specifically because he lived with that perpetual sense of being chased. And in that secret, we can begin to understand that Amar Oyev Erdof Asig Achalek. We know that at the heart of Kriyas Yamsuf, when we're being chased by the Mitzrim, at that point of absolute destitution, at that point of absolute terror, at that point where the Jewish soul didn't know what it was supposed to do, when we uncover the secret of Alufal Shel Olam B'chol Tnua, and we see those 5 aleph, those 5 stones that David HaMelech was able to pick up from the Nachal in order to destroy Goliath HaPlishti, in order to transform that sense of being chased by our enemies into chasing after HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's those 5 alephs which are mamtik all of the dinim. It's magala that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there with us, and suddenly the Amar Oyev Erdof Asig Achalek, that sense of dread that the enemy is going to chase after me, becomes the place where I'm magala, the Alufal Shel Olam, the Pella Elyon, the Neflaos, the gal enai va'abita neflaus misarasecha, the hiskalus of the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is here right now, and I also have to continuously chase after HaKadosh Baruch Hu more and more in the secret of not giving rest to my eyes and not giving rest to my eyelids until I find the place for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when a person understands the true secret of being a roidef and a nirdaf, will come to realize that we're never ever going to find that place of calmness. But what we can cultivate is the deep sense of the Ben Melech, who understands how to be calm in the sense of being chased, because I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of what's chasing me. I'm fundamentally aware that this sense of being chased just needs to be transformed into a vessel of chasing after HaKadosh Baruch Hu more and more, be'ezras Hashem. Okay, Klal Yisrael should be safe.